I don't know. Sometimes these are the three most difficult words to say. But you have the courage to say them. And someone has the generosity to show you the way. That's learning. Learning that comes from sharing. When we can share, that's poetry in the prose of life. In the very act of sharing, we experience our strength, our wealth, our power. We experience ourselves as overflowing, giving, alive, joyous. We are rich only through what we share, and poor only through what we refuse to learn. When you're through with sharing, you're through with learning. You're through.
No, try that lifting that upbeat before the three quavers.
Learning is a quickening of strings, a touching of the soul with note and chord. But the much more necessary learning, a knowledge of the world, is only to be acquired by listening to the rhythms of life, to the tempo and beat of change all around us. In business, the intricate interplay between people, their willingness to learn and to share, separates those in the most successful organizations from the rest of the pack.
The learning process is something which continues throughout life, right till the end. And the moment you stop learning, you in fact have arrived at the end of your journey. The role of the CEO is very, very important. And obviously, he's the one who has to create the culture in his organization for learning and for sharing. It is something which cannot be delegated to a lower authority. The CEO has to do it himself.
How do you set this pace to move faster on this way? We thought there are two aspects to it. One is to involve as many people as possible. Second, don't waste your time in reinventing the wheel. Transfer the learning from one group company to another group company. Tata International has a large tannery operation, a large number of people working on the shop floor. We thought the best way to involve more and more people is to introduce Quality Circle. How do you introduce Quality Circle? Talk to them, train them, equip them with some tools. But what is missing is to motivate them in real sense of their involvement. And we looked for those companies which have succeeded in this area.
The basic premise in Quality Circle is that the worker has enormous talent which we often don't utilize. The Quality Circles provide the worker a forum where his energies and talents can be channelized into innovations and ideas, where he learns to work as a team, and where he finds out that team effort is far more important than individual efforts.
We got Quality Circle teams from Tata Steel to make presentation to our people on the shop floor at Devas, where we operate this tannery. I would say results were dramatic. Here was a presentation made by shop floor people to another set of shop floor people. Language was the same.
अच्छे उद्योग को चलाने के लिए क्या-क्या चीज आवश्यक है?
आप क्वालिटी का डेफिनेशन पूछिएगा वो वैसा प्रोडक्ट जो आपको कस्टमर को सेटिस्फाइड करता है. अभी सेटिस्फैक्शन शब्द भी हट गया. जो कस्टमर को डिलाइट करता हो वही क्वालिटी है.
The barrier was broken. They realized it is no more a kind of management fad. But here are some people who are doing similar kind of thing, what we are trying to do it here.
There are two aspects for an organization to become a learning and knowledge-based organization. The first is the mindset, which is the more fundamental of these two aspects. And Jim Collins put it beautifully when he said, good is the enemy of the great. If you think you are already very good, you will never become great. And there is another important aspect. To become a learning organization, IT is helpful. But IT is not all. The most fundamental thing is the mindset. Without the mindset, irrespective of what else you do, you will not become a learning organization.
GE shared, TCS learned. Perhaps along the way, the teacher also became the taught. Isn't that the magic of learning and sharing?
The challenge is how do you learn in all humility? How do you bring those best practices, adapt it within your own organization, make this visible for every single employee?
TCS has been working with different GE businesses for over 8 years now, be it the power systems, the medical systems, or the different GE capital businesses. They've all been very demanding customers, but the amount of learning and sharing for TCS has been phenomenal.
Six Sigma, that's the way we work in G, which means everything from the products we manufacture to the services we deliver, even our internal functions like finance and HR, everything have to be Sigmatized.
One of the key elements that we have noticed is each GE manager has a lot of focus and spends a lot of time in observing the best practices from other GE businesses and deploys them in his business at great speed.
Now, when we asked all our key suppliers to go the Six Sigma way, one of the things we knew was that it would only work on that part of the delivery processes which were aligned towards GE. But I think one great thing that TCS and Tata as a whole have done in a great way is they've taken it across the entire organization. And that's where the real win comes. That's where Tata as a group can align itself to the customer better than ever before.
We are using Six Sigma to look at our basic costs: people, travel, and communications. This project resulted into a cost saving of 30% for telecommunications, which translates to 1 crore rupees for this center alone. That too, without compromising on customer satisfaction.
We could translate the learnings out of Six Sigma in setting up these centers. The result, we took 6 months to set up a Hungary development center. We just took 2 months to set it up in China. A great example.
Tons and tons of rock, gravel, and sand have to be moved to obtain 1 carat of diamond rough. It's the same with talent mining. Rare gems, cherished, polished and refined, radiating brilliance to the whole group.
The executive selection scheme of Tata Engineering, or ESS, started really 10 years ago, is a process to identify and to mine high talent, high potential, and to put them on fast track, which accelerates their growth by nearly 10 to 13 years. What it does is it gives them very challenging assignments at a very young age, and they are able to perform very brilliantly. Both the candidates who have passed through this and the organization have immensely benefited from this. It is also creating an aspirational system for other youngsters. I think this is a very good practice which other companies in Tata Group can imbibe. Tata Chemicals has already come forward and with whom we have interacted and set up the process.
Normally, when you look for best practices, there's a tendency to think that they're outside the company, they'd be outside the group, and indeed outside the country. We looked within the group, in fact, with Tata Engineering, and adapted their executive selection scheme, which is a process of identifying and giving opportunities to our young managers for growth. And this was done very, very successfully. We learned very quickly during this process that if you want help, there are more than enough people within the group who are eager to share their experiences.
If only Tatas knew what Tatas know. I'm really struck by the enormous amount of diversity, knowledge, and experience in this group. We are sharing, we are moving in absolutely the right direction. But we need a lot more of it, much faster. And I have been struck by some examples which I've come across from fields which are completely unrelated to management, And I came across the work of a person called Alan Wilson, who is a zoology professor at Berkeley in California. And he has been studying, amongst his research subjects, what it takes to transmit knowledge generationally amongst species of animals, birds, Homo sapiens, and so on and so forth. So the experiment that Alan Wilson did, and which he studied and has commented about, concerns two birds, summer birds in Britain. One is called the blue jay. It's a blue bird of the crow family, has a little hood. And the other one is called the robin. Both these birds, at the turn of the last century, in the 1900s, found a way to access the cream on top of a milk bottle, because Britain had a milk distribution system in open bottles in the turn of the last century. And then something happened around the time of the Second World War. They invented aluminum foil caps, and therefore the bottles were now sealed. Now the pattern of behavior of the two species was very different. In the case of the blue jay, they found a way to peck the aluminum foil and access the cream. And they continued to grow prosperous and fat. In the case of the robin, it could not. They could not collectively learn how to access the cream because they did not learn how to peck the aluminum foil. And so both of them went in different directions, and their evolution since then has taken different paths. Now the question arises, what made the blue jay learn to peck the aluminum foil collectively, and what made the robin not learn it? The blue jay live in couples till they're young, are fairly independent and grown up. A bit like an Indian family, if I may say so. They tend to move in flocks from garden to garden, and a flock would typically have 10 to 15 birds, and the flock would stay together. So there was the ability to socialize, there was the ability to be mobile. And therefore they stayed as a harmonious community, and therefore if there was an innovation, they could pass it on to each other, and the idea could spread. The robin's social behavior was quite different. The robin is basically an antagonistic creature. It's my nest is mine kind of bird. And in fact, if one male robin tries to enter the domain of another male robin, he protects his turf extremely sharply. Professor Wilson then hypothesized and has postulated that from a species behavior point of view, there are three things that cause progress, intergenerational learning. First, innovation, which is the ability of a species, individually or collectively, to get an idea as to how they can get more out of the environment which they are. Second, social propagation. What is the ability for a direct nexus between one who has experienced and learnt and another who hasn't? And the third is mobility. What is the propensity in the species to go into different environments and face different challenges so that the learning is accelerated? And I think there's a great lesson in this about experience sharing and how organizations can learn from zoology. That if we can have innovation, social propagation, and mobility, we would develop a far more aggressive bunch of managers to lead the Tata Group into the next generation.
Today, there's a quicksilver flow of ideas across international boundaries. With the mobility of technologies, the environment for interaction couldn't be better. All it takes to unlock the vast potential, to open the floodgates of unfettered achievement, is the power of learning and sharing. The humility to learn, the magnanimity to share.